Imagine this. You're standing in the warm light of success. Things are going well, your name is being spoken with admiration, people are laughing at your jokes, clapping at your stories. You're not alone. In fact, you're surrounded. But then one day, the light fades. Trouble comes. Illness, failure, isolation. The shadows grow longer. You look around, and suddenly it's quiet. They're gone. All of them. This is not a rare story. It is a human one. Ancient, bitter, and endlessly repeated. Arthur Schopenhauer captured it in a single, haunting image. False friends are like shadows. They follow you when the sun shines, but disappear when it gets dark. In a world where connection is cheap and loyalty is rare, this quote cuts like a blade. It's not just a comment on fake friendships, it's a mirror held up to our society. What does it mean to be surrounded in the light but abandoned in the dark? And more importantly, why do we continue to fall into this illusion? In this video, we're going to explore the psychology of false friendships, the loneliness behind social masks, and the quiet dignity of being alone rather than accompanied by illusions. If these words echo something you felt but couldn't express, stay with me. And if you find value here, consider subscribing. This space is for those who are tired of pretending and ready to see clearly, even in the dark. They say you learn who your real friends are when your world collapses, but perhaps that's not quite accurate. You don't learn, you remember, because deep down, you've always known. The signs were there. The silence when you needed support. The slight discomfort when your vulnerability surfaced. The way their presence felt conditional. Tethered not to you, but to what you provided. False friendship is not a lie told with words. It's a lie told with presence. A presence that is warm when you're winning, but cold when you bleed. Schopenhauer's metaphor of the shadow isn't merely poetic, it's existential. Shadows only exist in light, and similarly, many of the people around us only exist in our lives when circumstances are favorable. When the conditions feed their comfort, status, or convenience. When your life aligns with theirs like a sunny sidewalk. But once the light dims, once hardship sets in, they vanish. Not because they hate you, not always, but because your darkness threatens the illusion they live in. Because staying would demand something real. This is where loneliness is most painful, not in solitude, but in betrayal. When you're forced to confront that what you thought was support was actually conditional attachment. People don't leave you because you failed. They leave you because your failure makes them feel something they've spent their whole lives avoiding. False friends are drawn to warmth, not people. To gain, not growth. They're not companions, they're reflections, shallow, shifting, and absent of soul. And yet, here's the most brutal part. We allow it. We invite shadows into our lives and mistake them for substance. We confuse attention for affection, convenience for connection, and applause for loyalty. Social media amplifies this confusion. We have followers instead of friendships, likes instead of love, and timelines instead of time. Our culture rewards charisma over character, visibility over vulnerability. And in such a system, being real becomes dangerous, because to be real is to risk being alone. But here's the paradox. Being alone with truth is less lonely than being surrounded by lies. False friendships often serve a function. They distract us from ourselves. As long as we're accompanied, we don't have to ask the harder questions. Who am I when no one is watching? Am I valued or just useful? If everyone left, would I still be enough? These are questions only silence can answer. And perhaps that's why the shadows flee, not only from your darkness, but from their own. Carl Jung once said, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed." False friendships do not transform, they conform. They are transactional, not alchemical. They keep you comfortable, not conscious. But true friendship, the kind that survives darkness, does something more. It witnesses your mess without judgment. It stays when there is no benefit. It sees the you beneath the image. That kind of friendship is rare because it requires inner work. It demands a depth that most avoid. You cannot be a true friend to others without first confronting your own shadows, without learning how to sit with discomfort, with silence, with the absence of reward. And so, we return to the image, the shadow vanishing at dusk. What remains after the false has fled? You do. Your solitude, your realness, your pain, yes, but also your capacity to rebuild, now unclouded. Sometimes when the last shadow leaves, something extraordinary happens. The self steps forward. This is the beginning of transformation. When you stop begging others to stay and begin choosing what you allow near. When you no longer chase validation in the form of presence. When your peace is no longer for sale. It's easy to curse the shadows for leaving, but in truth their departure is a gift. They expose the space they once filled with illusion. And in that space, you can plant something real. We spend so much of our lives trying not to be left behind. We adjust ourselves, shrink our truth, tolerate what drains us, all for the illusion of belonging. But perhaps the deeper question isn't, who will stay with me? But rather, who am I when everyone leaves? Loneliness, when faced honestly, becomes a doorway, not to despair, but to discernment. When the false falls away, it hurts. Of course it does. But it also reveals. You begin to see clearly who you are, what you need, what you're no longer willing to carry. And in that clarity, something awakens. A quiet dignity, a resilience that doesn't shout but stands. You no longer chase light to feel seen, you carry it within. And from that place, the right people come. Not because you begged them to, but because your truth called them in. So let them go. The shadows, the echoes, the ones who only knew you in your sunshine, the ones who flinched at your darkness. Let them fade and bless their absence. Because in the silence they leave behind, you will finally hear the voice that matters most, your own. If this reflection resonated with you, consider subscribing. This channel is for those who no longer want noise but depth, who seek not just knowledge but meaning. Let's walk together. Not in the spotlight, but in truth.